Hey everybody, welcome to our first review on Cinema Wiseman. I'm Mason.
I'm Andy.
And the first movie we're going to review is, of course, a Stephen King classic.
Stand By Me.
Yeah. Probably one of the movies I probably shouldn't have watched as a kid, but I watch the movie all the time and I love this movie.
I didn't find out about it till I was probably 12 or 13 because my mom had it in her, Western movies for some reason. So I didn't know what it was until I had a sleepover and somebody wanted to watch it.
That's probably because it took place outside. She just assumed it was a Western.
I don't know.
Stand By Me is about a group of kids who take a real nice adventure to go find a missing boy who has been missing for some time and is presumed dead. Now, is he really presumed dead? I don't know.
He went out picking blueberries and he disappeared for a couple days, and he had used the train tracks, so they think he got hit by a train, but apparently nobody's looking for him. There's no search party. They're just like, oh, he'll turn up, which is awful.
Yes. I don't understand. Yeah.
If my kid might have got blasted by a train, I would go looking for him. Just saying.
Well, apparently
even in the 50s, I would go looking.
I would assume back then they just thought that, oh, he'll show up.
He'll come home. It's fine.
Did they even put... I don't think they put kids on milk cartons back then, did they?
No, that wasn't until, the 80s, I think. 70s or 80s.
Yeah, milk was probably in glass bottles, so that'd probably be a little hard at that point.
This was in 59.
Oh. That 1 in 1,000 with the facts, ain't I?
Yeah, you're real smart. It was when the wife was still banging the milkman whenever he came over. So anyways, Stand By Me is 4 boys. You got Will Wheaton, who's Gordy, River Phoenix, who's Chris, Corey Feldman, who's Teddy, and then Jerry O'Connell, who's Verno.
Yes.
The best.
He's one of the best 80s fat kids out there.
Well, you got him, you got Chunk from the Goonies, and my personal favorite, you got Horace from Monster Squad.
It's Horace.
His name is Horace. I know, but all the bullies call him Horace, and that makes me laugh.
It's also got Kiefer Sutherland, who, this is one of my favorite movies with him in it, besides The Lost Boys. I love that movie.
He kind of has the same hair in both.
It's about the same time. Yeah, it's maybe a couple years difference.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Look at my hair.
Anyways, it's Labor Day weekend, and they decide to go looking because Vern heard his older brother and his brother's buddy while he was looking for his pennies under his porch that he buried and then forgot he lost the map. His mom threw his map away because his room was a mess.
I don't understand why he just didn't bury it by the entranceway into...
Why did he bury them?
Quart jar.
A piece of shit, so he probably would have stole them.
If it was a quart jar of pennies, why didn't you just bury it near the entrance to the deck?
Or take it to the bank and get your $3.12. Because that's probably all it was. It wasn't much.
Vern brought a comb, okay? That's what that's what he contributed to.
He had 7 cents.
Oh.
He had 7 cents.
So
anyways, they decide to go looking for Ray Brower. That's the poor kid that is dead. So they all take off. They're going to follow the train tracks to where this kid is. And while they're doing this, Vern's brother Billy, he's Billy, right? There's Billy and the other dude. What was his name? Anyway, Billy and his friend were those people. I don't know. They are trying to decide if they're going to tell Ace, which is Kiefer Sutherland. He's the leader of the shitbags. They're awful.
They're the Cobras, not shitbags.
Oh, yeah, they're the Cobras. Excuse me. Like Cobra Kai. Always assholes named Cobras. Anyway, they decide to go look for this body. And, because they're kids, they get into trouble as always. Teddy is a psycho because his dad's a piece of shit and burned his ear on the stove because he's had some serious PTSD that we don't talk about back then. So Teddy's crazy and decides to try to dodge the train because, they didn't learn anything from Ray Brower getting blasted already.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too. It's all right, you're hunting for a kid who potentially was run over by a train, but here, let's try to dodge the train.
Yeah, so then Chris, which is River Phoenix, he pulls him off the track and they kind of fight, but not really. And then he's always skin it, and it's creepy. It's I don't like that. Skin it. Anyway, so they decide to take a break in this junkyard because what's his name? Milo Prescott. He's some psycho that looks like the Gordon's fisherman without the raincoat.
And his vicious dog Chopper.
Yes, and so they decide that they need to like hang out there and pool their money together so they can go get some food.
Yeah, but that's such a great scene, though. That's a great scene watching the young kids just being kids. They're not worrying about anything. They're not worrying about where they're going, or like what the actual like little mission that they're on. They're just being kids. I love that scene. I think it's a great scene. I love when Teddy spits water on Vern. And he's like, oh, spit water on the fat kid. Thanks.
They're always mean to the poor fat kid. Gordy gets chosen to go get the food with their $2.37, which is also, because this is a Stephen King movie, $2.37 is the room from The Shining. Just a little. So while he's gone, Milo must have shown up and the other boys jump the fence and they're waiting for him. But then poor Gordy gets chased by Chopper, who's like this adorable little mutt dog. I thought it was going to be Cujo, but it was not. It was this
Why?
cute
Because
mutt.
he had the reputation, Chopper, sick balls.
And all the guy said was Chopper sick him, but this poor kid's convinced his ball bag is going to be just ripped to shreds. So he jumps over the fence, and then Milo knows all the kids, and he starts making fun of poor Teddy's dad, who's crazy. And he's making fun of him, and then Teddy flips out. Where's his mom? Does he have a mom?
Yeah, but I'm sure in that situation, I'm sure both ends of that is not probably good.
Should probably.
I mean,
But then,
look at Gordy's parents.
yeah, like Gordy's brother had died like 5 months before in a car accident. He was like their golden boy. So now, like, poor Gordy is just completely forgotten about.
I mean, the mom's basically a catatonic, and the dad, you clearly could tell, pick favorites beforehand.
Yeah, and like poor Gordy has a dream later on in the movie where Dad said that it should have been you, which is just awful. But so then after dinner, they want to hear a story, and Gordy's a writer, so he has this amazing story about another fat kid, Davy Hogan, but the whole town calls him Lardass.
Lardass Hogan.
Which is awful. You know you're a good character when your name can be used as a verb. But anyway, so Lardass, he's in a pie eating contest, and he decides to like get his revenge on the whole town. So he drinks like a bunch of castor oil before they do the pie eating contest, and then he like throws up on this one dude, and then that dude throws up on a dude. And then they call it a barfarama, and everybody's throwing up on each other, and it's amazing.
I just love the fact that every single person in that place had eaten blueberry pie.
And even the fattest lady in town is calling this poor kid Lardass. I almost just said fat ass. Lardass, fat ass.
See, the part I always found was funny was when the audience are ragging on him, and then the mayor or whoever the hell the guy was, he's like, "Don't pay attention to him, Lardass. I mean Davy." It's like, wow, you're really
a grown-ass man making fun of a kid with a gland problem, because Gordy makes a point to say it's a gland problem. And the puke was like a mixture of cottage cheese and blueberries, which is disgusting.
Well, not really. I mean, you can mix that with cottage cheese.
It's fine until it's in mass quantities and you think it's puke. Then it's gross.
Yeah, but it's probably more ratio blueberry than cottage cheese.
I'm not gonna fight with you about blueberries and cottage cheese. It was gross. Especially when the fat lady like pretends to puke it into her purse and then she licks her mouth. That's gross.
She didn't want to make a mess. She was being classy.
She was puking in her fucking purse.
She wanted to barf on somebody. I thought that was being nice. Like the twins in there.
She was saving it for later.
Yeah, but those two twins in there, they were barfing all over each other. They were like close.
Because they're twins,
they were like
they
as
share
close.
everything.
They were like as close as we are, and the guy was like high-powered barf right in his face.
I mean, maybe he deserved it. Gordy, like Chris is keeping watching Gordy sleeping, and he has the nightmare about his dad telling him it was him, wishing it was him that died. So then they go and they sit and they talk, and everybody thinks Chris is a bad kid because he stole the milk money at school. And come to find out, he did take it, but he had returned it to a teacher, but the teacher just kept it and bought some ugly brown dress with polka dots on it.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And so poor Chris is like devastated, and he's crying, and apparently he really was super upset when he filmed it, because then Rob Reiner had to like hug him and tell him it was okay. But so they wake up, they continue on their little trail to go find this dead kid, and they come along this big ass bridge with train tracks and like no railing or anything. So they're like, well, when's the next train? It's like, oh, well, this will save us time. We'll just walk across it. So of course Vern, because he's me as a child, is crawling across because he's scared he's gonna fall, because I don't know why crawling is gonna... But as he's leaning over, his comb falls out. His only contribution besides the 7th sense falls, and he's devastated.
And that was one thing I totally agree on, is that he's crawling on his hands and knees across the bridge. His comb falls out.
And he's like hanging.
He's got his head, shoulder leaning downward. I'm like, your ass is going to fall between them and fall straight to the ground.
And so, like, Chris and Teddy are quite a ways ahead because Vern's not crawling in front of them, but poor
that would kill your knees.
Gordy's behind Vern, and then he keeps feeling the rails every so often to see if they're vibrating, and then he realizes it's vibrating, and he looks, and there's like steam or smoke or whatever coming up, and he like yells train. So the two in the front like haul ass, and fucking Verno, he goes to run. Well, first he crawls a little bit faster, and then he gets up to run, and he like runs 2 steps and falls down again, and he falls, and he's just like hugging his sleeping bag, and he's like crying, I'll fall, and Gordy's like, we're gonna die, get up. So then they start running, and classic fat kid run.
I did like the perspective shot of that when they were like right near the end of it, like that train was so close to him. I love that shot. But one thing that's funny about that scene, I thought, was you don't hear the train brake at all.
No,
it doesn't even make an attempt to slow down. You don't hear any screeching of brakes.
Yeah, nothing.
It's almost like it got faster. It's like, oh, kids.
Yeah, like, we should probably kill these kids, which I'm sure they can't stop on.
Well, they don't stop on a dime, but I mean,
I'm sure they can't stop on the bridge, but it's not going to stop that quick anyways. It takes like half a mile to stop, which...
No, yeah, I mean, it's not going to stop on a dime.
But then, so they jump, like, at the very end of, like, the cliff or whatever, and they end up fine. They're just dirty and terrified.
It's funny, though, when they made the comment about them jumping off the bridge if a train came, and they're like, oh, Teddy, it's 100 feet. But yet, if you look where they jumped off at the end of that bridge, down in that ditch, where all them rocks are, that was probably 50 feet. That was about halfway.
And there were rocks to hit on the way down.
Well, yeah, that when Vern was sitting there, he's all, like, crying and stuff, because there was, like, a rock right next to him.
Of course, Billy and the other kid end up telling Ace and another dude that, hey, we found this body, because isn't there a reward for it? I don't think there's a reward.
There's no reward for it.
But they think, oh, we'll get famous because
they'll get some great attention for finding
it. But Billy and his buddy don't want to tell anybody because the only reason why they found the kid is that they stole the car.
Yeah.
So why were they there? Because they don't have a car. But then they find this big ass field that they can cross, and they'll get to where they need to get to quicker. So Gordy says yes. So they start to go down there, and there's like this disgusting like cesspool of a pond that they're gonna cut through, like 6 inches past that, so they fall in, and then they start having fun for a couple seconds, and then Vern goes to like sleeper hold.
He puts him in a sleeper hold.
Nobody gets out of a sleeper hold.
Yeah, especially if Vern puts it on.
Yeah, and then poor Gordy's like, oh, Vern, there's something on your neck, and he's like, yeah, right. And
there is, Vern.
Yeah, there really
leech.
is. And then they end up having leeches, and then so they like strip down to their underwear and they pull all these leeches off, and then poor Gordy feels something not good, and he like looks in his poor little tidy whities, and
he's got a leech hanging off his balls.
I don't even have balls, and that like upset me.
I was ow.
2 for flinching.
I don't know which was worse. A leech on your balls or getting punched in the shoulder.
You're welcome.
Ow.
Anyway, that's the thing that Teddy does to poor Vern the entire movie. And then Vern gets him finally, and he's so excited that he made Teddy flinch that he wasted the time. So then Teddy pounded him twice again anyways.
Well, that's what, yeah, but the part later on he's like beating the hell out of Teddy.
Yeah, so after the leech ordeal, like, Teddy's ragging on Vern, and Vern's finally had enough. and he just starts pounding the shit out of him, even though he's Vernon, has like no muscle strength at all, but he tries.
He's got the weight though.
So they get cleaned up. Poor Gordy had fainted because of this fucking ordeal with
Who wouldn't?
the leech. Right.
I would probably think I'm gonna die.
So, right. So they get to Old Harlow Road where Ray is supposedly at. So then Vern and Teddy take one side, and Chris and Gordy take the other. And Vern's like, I see him, and they go down there, and they didn't know what he looked like before, like, filming. Like, they wanted it to be a surprise, so their reactions are real.
Yeah, but that whole scene, like the set, like where they shot all that, and just the way they set it up, that had such realism to it. Like, it's not like in the movies where you always see somebody. It's like they're so perfectly posed. Like, he's covered with leaves and stuff that had probably fallen off them days.
His shoes like hanging.
Yeah,
like, it just blew him right out of his shoes.
You know,
he lost his shoe. Yeah, that was pretty terrible. And he was like supposedly their age, even though like it's a super small town. I don't know how they didn't know him. Like maybe he was in a neighboring town. I don't really know. Anyway,
yeah, he did look older. That's one thing I always thought was kind of weird when I remember watching that. I was like, are you sure he's about their age? Because he looks about...
Yeah, he was probably like 15 or 16. They're supposed to be like going into 6th grade, so like 12.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, he's so made up, and you can't really get a good look at him. But I mean, yeah, he always looked older to me.
But then, just as they're gonna build him a stretcher, like, Gordy starts to have a panic attack because he starts thinking about his brother.
His brother had only been dead for 5 months. I mean, that's a lot for any
So
kid
just
to have
as
to
they're
deal
dealing with that, Ace and Billy and all the other a-holes show up. Cobra Kai. They show up, and then they pull a switchblade and they're gonna like stab these poor kids, which is just awful. So of course Vern hauls ass out.
Well,
there.
yeah, because Vern hauled ass because his brother saw him. He's like, shit, it's my own brother.
You little son of a whore, which is hysterical to me.
Vern, you little son of a... You was underneath the porch. No, I wasn't. I'm gonna beat shit out of you, you little asshole.
So he hauls ass. And then, so Teddy and Chris try to stand their ground for a second, but then once Ace comes closer with the knife, Teddy pieces out.
Because Teddy's gonna sit there and talk shit to him, but then...
Yeah, he talked shit for a second, and the second they got closer, he's gone.
But then, but I will say, though, the scene where Chris tells Ace to go something with his mother, I won't specifically say the words, the look on Kiefer Sutherland's face is probably one of the best anger-looking faces I've ever seen on film, because he seriously looked like he was gonna knock the shit out of him. Mm-hmm. Like, I've seen, I mean...
And then he looked like he was gonna, like, slit his throat or something, and then, like, Chris's brother eyeballs just like, hey, man,
don't do it.
Like, don't even try to stop him. He's gonna kill your brother.
That, to me, seems like a sibling thing right there. It'd be like, oh, I'm gonna kill your younger brother. Well, hey, don't do that. That's not right.
Well,
but don't step in, eyeball.
So, just as he goes to, like, stab poor Chris, Gordy has the gun and, like, shoots it up in the air. And Ace is like, you gonna shoot all of us? He's like, nope, just you. And then he tells him to suck his fat one and calls him a cheap dime store hood, which is super funny to me also.
Oh yeah, he says, suck my fat one, you
cheap dime store hood.
Yeah, that's right up there.
That's such a 50s thing to say.
Yeah, but you know what the funny part is? You know for a fact if he did shoot him, nobody in that gang would be like, oh, no. I'm gonna let's all get him. It's like they would be like, oh, they shot him. They all would have
like when the Wicked Witch died, and they're all like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah, they all would have hauled ass. They all would have been like, "Hey, are we cool? You can take the kid."
Yeah, like we were scared to death of him.
You know that's what it would.
Even though they could have ganged up on him, like what? There was like 7 or 8 of them. Like they couldn't take him out. So they end up. Nobody takes the kid. They leave him there, and it ends up being like a anonymous phone call. But then it shows the kids, like, there's parting ways at the end, and they're like, Teddy wanders off, and it's like, oh, I don't see Teddy anymore. Like, him and Vern end up like 2 faces in the hallway. But
that's real life, though. Like, everybody's had kids that were friends, like, in elementary school. And once you get in the junior high and high school, you start drifting apart. You know, your interests change. sometimes people change, and you know, you always kind of have those memories. But yeah, I mean, at some point, you know, friends come and go. Like that's how he described it. It still happens even when you get older.
I don't have friends.
You have me.
Like I said.
Wow.
But it doesn't matter. Anyways, so they go to part ways, and then Gordy starts to talk about how him and Chris stayed together, and they're still, like, they stayed friends all through high school. But Teddy and Vern just kind of faded off into all the other nameless, faceless people in the crowd. But Chris had to fight to get all the way through college because he just thought he was going to be a piece of crap like the rest of his family.
Well, that was always funny. He was always good to tell Gordy how, you know, he needs to be more confident in himself. He's got talent. And Chris was already kind of got that mindset that
he's going nowhere.
But yet, he was a good kid, and he clearly had, you know, yeah, he made some mistakes. Who hasn't made mistakes? But, I mean, you could tell he had a good head on his shoulders.
Well, he made a mistake, and he tried to make it better.
Right.
And then, because he already has the family name, they just, oh, well, he's trash, so it doesn't matter.
But then it also had, the adult wasn't any better in that situation.
Yeah, that's terrible. But anyway. So then it talks about how Chris did get out, and he went to school, and he became a lawyer, and then he's in a friggin' McDonald's, and two a-holes are fighting. Well, it didn't even say McDonald's, it just said fast food, doesn't matter. Probably a McDonald's. And somebody's fighting in front of him, and he tries to step in and help, and he gets stabbed in the neck. It was probably friggin' Ace in there not wanting to pay for his fucking sausage McMuffin. So then, poor guy gets stabbed in the neck and bleeds out in a McDonald's.
Yeah, not the most uplifting ending.
And then, so, because at the beginning of the movie, it shows Gordy as an adult reading a newspaper, and you completely
played
forget
by Richard
about it.
Dreyfuss.
I honestly, the first time I watched it, I forgot about the newspaper saying local lawyer something.
It's a quick shot. If you weren't paying attention, it easily.
So like you should have known it from the beginning that Chris dies, but you don't. But
at the same time, it really, I think, refreshes his memories of
how great they were.
Of those times, of the friends he had at that age. And then especially at the end when his kids want to go swimming and he sees his son talking to his friend, and he can tell, yeah, that's exactly what he had.
They're having like a towel fight out on like the front lawn, and they're not doing it right. You need to twist and then snap, and they're not doing that, and they're not doing it right.
They're having fun. They're not trying to kill each other.
But anyway, this was the first episode, so I hope it's not a complete hot mess, and you found some entertainment out of it.
Oh, I certainly did.
So, if I rated it out of 1 out of 10, I would probably say about a 9, because it's not a 2.5 hour long, drawn-out movie like all these movies now are. Gets to the point, it flows well.
No, it's a great...
It's funny, it's sad.
It's a really good paced movie, and I think it's a really good coming-of-age story. It's got great humor with the kids, and it had great chemistry between the cast. All the casts, even like all the Cobra Gang kids and stuff like that.
Cobra Kai.
It's not Cobra Kai.
It's an 80s gang called the Cobra.
But it was a really good cast movie, and everybody just gelled really well in that, and I really did enjoy that. But yeah, it's a classic movie. I recommend it to anybody. I'm gonna stick to a 9 on it. Totally.
Yep. So this was our first episode, so bear with us. This is a new experience for us, so hopefully it's entertaining in some way. We started with this movie. We're gonna do other genres like horror and just terrible B movies, or random movies that we have found and we loved, and now we watch them all the time.
Or some movies that she loves and I can't stand.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have
just
knockdown drag out fights at some point.
Or just about every movie I enjoy, she can't stand.
Not true.
It's true.
Not true. I like a lot of movies.
Yeah, just not mine.
Well, yeah.
But we both agree we love this movie, though.
Yes. So we'll do ones that we both love, and then we will do a he said, she said of what I love and he hates, and vice versa, and see who agrees with who.
Who comes out victorious.
It'll probably be you because they're famous movies and I just hate them. But whatever.
I guess.
My opinion doesn't matter
Oh,
either.
stop it.
But so hopefully you like this. If you do, subscribe. If you don't, be kind, please.
Well, until next time, this is Mason,
And Andy.
and you stay wise.
Bye, guys.